Swavey family, welcome to episode 12 of our Swavey Podcast. My name is Marlena.
I'm Jeezz. What's going on?
And today we have our friend and fellow comedian Manny ThaGod here. And today we're going to be speaking to him about how he got started in comedy, what he has planned for 2022, and some of the struggles that he faced with that. And of course, we're going to be talking about some things that we have going on as well. So stay locked in, episode 12 coming to you, and it'll, be a good one. Okay, so I know you, of course, through RJ, who's known you for a minute now, but you, I think for the past year and a half, 2 years now, you've been getting into comedy. So what was it that made you want to get into it, and how was that process? Because some people don't know how to just be funny on the spot and make people laugh, and I feel like that's a talent that is extremely hard to do. So if you can give us a little bit of your backstory on that.
Man, the origin story is crazy. So I mean, when I was when I was a kid, I just was always going through shit, and when you go around people, you don't want them to be concerned. You know what I mean? So I would always make light of any situation so people wouldn't be concerned about me. You know what I mean? Because I would see kids that when you was sad or whatever, people would talk to you and you know what I mean, always check up on you. And I just thought that was kind of too much, intrusive. So I was just always keeping people away. It was kind of like a shield for a while. And then I was always just funny, you know what I mean? At least I thought I was funny, you know what I mean? Some people obviously didn't think I was funny because I was making fun of them.
Some people I feel like they try too hard and they're not really funny, and some people just naturally funny.
Yeah, I would get laughs from the people that I wasn't joking on, you know what I mean? So I knew I was funny.
Yeah.
And then I seen Kevin Hart just saying whatever he wanted, on stage, on TV, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And so I was like, I want to be a comedian. My mom was like, hell no. I was like, no way. She was like, you can't be a comedian. She was like, you know what I mean? It's impossible, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be a doctor.
Cause your mom and them is from where?
We're from Congo. Yeah, I was born there.
Yeah, see, when I first met you, I didn't even know. I know.
So she tells me, nah, you can't be a comedian. So then I DM Kevin Hart. I'm like, bro, my mom told me I can't be a comedian.
Did he respond?
Nah, he never responded.
Did he read it?
He didn't even read it.
Maybe one day.
He was I was like, yeah, can you talk to her? I gave him her number and everything. And
damn.
I waited 6 months. I was like, he's probably just busy.
No. yeah.
He never responded. So I was like, damn, fuck it. So then years go by, I started doing door-to-door sales. I think that's where I met RJ.
That's how we met. That's crazy, just me and you from there and seeing you now, the change in both of us, from that first day that I met you in the business suit with the short hair, the Manny I know is a completely different Manny, man.
Right, yeah, it's crazy. When I was doing that, though, it was I wasn't really happy, with what I was doing. Just going through
emotions.
Yeah, I mean, I was making a lot of money, but it was I just knew to sustain it, I would just have to keep doing that same thing that I didn't like doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just got really depressed, and I just didn't know what I was going to do. So then I just shut down the business. Then I started working at ADP, and then one of my corny coworkers, his name was Anthony. What was his last name? I forget his last name, but his name was Anthony. He wasn't really funny, but he was like, yeah, I'm going to do this open mic stand-up tonight. And I was like, where at? And he was like, at Scarpazy's.
Is that the bar in Mount Washington?
Yeah, that's the bar in Washington.
Yeah, you took me to that.
And I was like, yo, let me come with you. He was like, you do comedy? I was like, yeah, bro, I'm a beast. You know what I mean? I was like, bro, I'm a beast. But I had been writing comedy for 2 years. I was just writing it in my notebook, you know what I mean, sneaking. I would just writing. And so I put together 5 minutes at my desk, at my cubicle at ADP. I was on the computer typing it and shit. And so I went there at Scarpazy's and I crushed it. People loved it. I started out with the eat an ass joke.
Yeah,
you know
I remember.
Warmed them up with that one.
I did. Yeah, I remember that night.
And quit. So then, one morning I just woke up and I was like, yeah, today's the day I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna tell them done with this. And then, you know, me and my ex, we was trying to move to LA anyway. So I was like, all right, like, I might as well just drive for Uber and just save up. And then we'll just move to LA. So then...
Yeah, I remember she was doing the little Uber videos.
Yeah.
With Terry.
Yeah. And, so then, when there, I quit. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna quit today. They was like, why are you quitting? I was like, I'm a comedian. They were like, I mean, you just started doing comedy. I was like, nah, like, a lot of people know me. Like, I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, like, a lot of people know me. Like, I was like, I'm famous. Like, I was like, people know me. Like, so yeah, I told my manager, I was like, yeah, I'm a comedian. So then she calls the VP in there. The VP comes in there and he's like, yeah, I just feel like, you know what I mean, like, comedy's like cool, but like, you know, like, I don't want to tell you you're not gonna make it, but like, and I was like, you don't understand, like, I already made it. Like, I was like, I was like in my head, I was like, yo, I'm already famous. Like, I was like, y'all don't even know. You know what I mean? I'm like, I already seen it. I already know. And they were like they was trying to convince me, and I was like, listen. He was like, I just feel like you're not listening to me, and I was like, I just feel like you're not listening to me. And then I stood up, and that's it's like, all right, like, it's done. Yeah. So then I walked out. And
that was when you was working here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that was in Pittsburgh. And then, you know, I was still doing the stand-ups, and that's when, like, I didn't like the way they was treating me at these little open mics. Like, they kept putting me last. Like, hating on me, and I was like, yo, I'm one of the best comedians here, like, everybody knows it.
But you know how that goes.
So then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just do my own show. I'm like, cause in my head, I'm like, you know what I mean, I'm type crazy too, so like, once I believe something, I'm like, I'm just running with it. So I'm like, I'm a famous comedian. I'm like, they should already know what's up with me. And so I was like, I'm gonna just do my own show. So then I, like, booked a venue. I booked like $1,500 for the venue at the hotel. And everything, it was like official. And I think, like, probably, like, 40, 50 people showed up. I had sold, like, 150 tickets, but, like, 40, 50 people showed up.
Yeah, still you sold them all.
It was, like, it was cold as shit that night, too, so I was, like, I blamed it on the weather. I was like, man, people didn't want to come out. Yeah.
Was it Pittsburgh?
It was at the hotel that's, like, down the hill from Southside. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about.
We were supposed to go.
Oh, yeah, y'all didn't come.
What happened?
I don't know. Something happened.
Something must have happened.
Something
must have happened and we didn't go.
Probably.
Yeah, okay, I remember now.
Yeah, so then, I mean, after that, that's when the pandemic hit, and then nobody was coming outside, all the clubs, everything was closed. So then that's when I started trying to make content, and it was like, it was rocky for a minute. Like, I know it probably wasn't really that funny, you know what I mean? Like, I was pushing it, though, you know what I mean? I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get better. You know, I just always had this theory, like, if you want to get good at something, you just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, you just got to keep grinding for it. So, being consistent.
Then I seen Lou Ratchet, and his shit was so funny. You know what I mean?
Where your mom's.
His shit was so funny, and I was like, damn, this little camera angle's kind of tough. So I tried it one time, and people was fucking with it. So I was like, I'm going to just keep doing this.
Yeah, keep rocking it. Keep rocking it.
I'm going to just keep doing this camera angle. So then people was, like, hating on me. They was like, oh, he copying Lou Ratchet, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I don't really care. Then when I went to L.A., so I went to LA to, like, get more notoriety and shit. Like, just living in LA, like, your views just go way up because everybody just so curious. Like, oh, what's LA like? You know what I mean? Like, so they just want to see you.
They never been out that way, so just like.
So it just made my like page pop a little.
LA is like that. It's almost like a foreign place because you see so much about it, especially like with Hollywood, Beverly Hills, like just like the celebrity aspect of it. It's like when you have someone there that you know or that you're close to, you're like, ooh, they're in LA. Like, it almost like
anytime you go anywhere,
it almost like fairy tales your lifestyle,
right? Yeah,
because LA or California is like one of those places. It's like a fairy tale.
It's nice too, like, you know what I mean?
It's so like beautiful. I remember when we came out there to see you.
Everybody had thought I made it too. Like, my family was calling me for money and shit. I'm like, yo, like,
that's the crazy part.
Like, whoa.
They see what happens on social media and think that that's just like automatically like it.
Like,
know?
I'd be like, I'm like, yo, I'm out here faking y'all. Like, y'all gotta chill.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll let you know when I get to that point.
But the amount of people that ask me for money or just see me on social media and think I just got it all together, I'm like, bro, like, I just It's the internet, y'all. Like, yeah, I'm out here living my life, but like, don't think you know my life, you know. Like, at the same time, you know, like we just out here trying to get it like everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Like,
you know, but you go to this foreign place and they ain't never been out there, so as soon as you go out there, you start posting, your views start going up. Even the haters, everybody. Like, what's he doing in LA? Like,
getting tacos. Like, everybody's interested in.
Doesn't matter what you do. Like, doesn't matter. Yeah.
So how was LA for you and your comedy? Like, was it a little bit of an adjustment because now you have to develop a whole new fan base than, you know, being fan base in Pittsburgh?
LA was, I think, like, for my comedy, like, I didn't get a lot out of that. Like, I didn't really, like, perform at any clubs or anything because everything was still closed. So I was basically, it was like, a lot of what I was going through was like with my girl. So it was like a lot of my comedy and everything was coming from that situation. Like, I was doing a lot of like insecure boyfriend videos. So like my fan base was like,
funny.
That's what you want the best shit though, for real.
Yeah, they were funny.
My fan base was like all like, I had a lot of girls following me. It was like I had a lot of girls and, you know what I mean? And people was asking me to like do like, girls like dress up as a girl, like act like my girl, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So then I was like, I need a male fan base. I was like, I need more of a male fan base. So then I was like trying to play with some other stuff, you know what I mean? And then it was like I hit a breaking point because, you know, me and Jess was going through it, and Kobe died. And I was like,
I remember that, bro.
I was sad as fuck. Like, I was like, damn, like, everything was crumbling.
We were at the gym, and we had just got back from the gym. We lived at 66, and all of a sudden, I'm like, this isn't fucking true. I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like, okay, when ESPN reports it, then I'll know it's real. I'm calling my dad, like, is this true? And all of a sudden, we have the TV on, and bam.
I was like, no way.
It was so crazy.
Died.
Yeah.
It was the craziest shit.
And you were in LA.
Yeah, and everybody was sad.
Everybody felt the impact, like the impact.
The whole world was sad. Like everybody was sad. I was sad, bro. And then I was talking to God, and I was like, bro, if you can't fix this relationship with my girl, you know who you say you is. I'm like, I'm not even gonna rock with you no more. That's what I said to God.
What? Like what?
I was in the car.
You took it personal.
I was like so mad, yo, cause like it was so much going on. Like she had the shit going on. Like she was telling me, she was like, I might try to link up with Future just to get like a picture to like boost my page. I'm like, that's weird.
But you know, God put you in those positions,
bro.
Like,
she used to mess with Future, and I was like, I don't really fuck with that type of situation. I'm like, that's weird.
Like Future.
Yeah, and I was like, and then she was like, and then like Justin LaBoy was trying to link up with her, and I was like, yo, why everybody coming for my shorty? I'm like, yo, like what's up with this? But it was like, it wasn't them, it was her. Like, she was the one doing
like
that.
Entertaining it, you know?
Yeah. So then, once I said that to God, like, he was just basically like, I was getting a lot of messaging, like, through memes and shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, if your girl doing this, you should focus on yourself. I just kept seeing shit like that.
Just
and
seeing the signs.
It was just so relatable to my life. And I start unfollowing the pages. I was like, fuck this. I start unfollowing them. And then, man, it got so bad. I was like, it got so bad because it was one day I was just depressed, and she came in the room and she like cussed me out because like I didn't clean up or something. Like, and she had just had surgery. She had just had her boob job, and she was like yelling at me. And she was like, I don't even want to be with you, and that's all I heard. I was like, you don't want to be with me? And she was like, no. And that's when I just was like, all right, like, just get out. Like, I was like,
I'm done, you know, like.
Get out the room, bro. I was like, so then I just start crying. I start crying. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm not fucking with you, God. Like, I was like, you're not real, bro. I was like, I'm not praying no more, none of that. And so that night I had the dream I couldn't get into heaven. I was like, it was like so real, too. Like, it was like, I was at the gates. Like, everybody was in there, too. It was lit.
I was always wondering where you got that from.
It was almost like deja vu, like almost like a deja vu moment for you. Like, it felt so real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was crazy. And it was like, God was like at the top of the little stairs. He was DJing. It was so weird. He was DJing. Von was up there. Kobe was hooping. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was lit.
It was your version of
and I was like, damn, this is crazy. See my auntie, I was like, damn, what's up, auntie? Like, that was wild. And he was like, nah, bro, like, who are you? I was like, what you mean, who am I? He was like, oh, you told me you wasn't fucking with me no more. He was like, over a bitch. I was like, whoa.
And so that kind of just like hit you.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was crazy. I woke up, I was sweating bullets. And that's when I was like, damn, God is real. I was like, yo, I gotta write this skit.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, who else deals with this same, like, kind of battle and they had, like, oh, like, this don't really matter. So I was like, all right, let me make a skit. I was like, let me make a skit about this because I was really scared about that shit. I was like, damn. But then when I made the skit too, it's like people was like saying like, it feels kind of disrespectful how you talking to God like that. But I'm like, you know what I mean?
Everything
That's
disrespectful
my
when you want to do it the way you want to do
it.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books by a Christian preacher that I'm a really big fan of, and you know, it's not really what you say because God knows your heart.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like He knows your true intention. So, you know, your version of heaven was what you saw and what you experienced in that dream.
Right.
His version might be different. My version might be different. Right. You know, and our interactions with God are all different. But like I said, God knows your intention. So it doesn't really matter how you talk to Him because at the end of the day, He knows. If anybody really knows you, it's Him.
Right. You
know, your mom obviously knows you really well. It's your mom, you know, like family, stuff like that. But like the person that really knows you and like your truest intentions and stuff is God.
But you think, like what you were saying earlier, like, you know, like you was saying these things to God directly, you know, and not knowing that God already know your path, but you don't know your path. You know, like He already know, like God your best friend at the end of that day. And sometimes, you know, like I read up on this story, or I might have been on a podcast or something like that, you know, but like I don't know who it was, but you know, like he was on a boat and he was fishing, you know, and he was just trying to catch it, but he couldn't catch it, but he didn't realize that there was shit underneath the boat that he just couldn't see at the same time, you know, and he was like asking God, like, you know, why, like, you have me out here for days and days, I'm starving and shit, you know, but sometimes that, like I was saying before, like, He already know your path, you know, like, even when you going through your toughest times.
He doesn't know that, so, like, when you were going through your stuff with Jessica, you didn't know, or maybe you didn't
for
feel.
A reason, you know?
Yeah,
like,
you didn't feel like it was going to be.
He already knew the plan, probably, yeah.
You know,
he probably figured that pain would lead to that.
Because sometimes we like, imagine if you would have been, and you still been in that situation. Like there's certain situations that if I would have stayed in them, I 100% wouldn't be the person or in the direction that I'm going right now.
Right.
You know, because God already knew, like, I thought this was it for me. I was like, yo, this is how my life is supposed to be and shit. You know, God was putting me through all these things, and I'm like, well, why are these things going from this is what I want, you know? And now what I posted the other day, you know, sometimes rejection redirects you into a better direction, you know?
Rejection leads to redirection.
Redirection, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like a lot of things just happen for a reason, or they just happen because they can happen. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like...
It's all part of the journey for real.
It's
like, everything. Every time you up and take an opportunity, that changes how your life is going to go.
Yeah.
Do you
know?
Because there's infinite dimensions. There's infinite realities.
Imagine if we never would have went out that night, you know, to the club where we was getting my pants done up. And, you know, and I never stepped out. I never would have met Marlena. You know, like we wasn't even planning on going outside that night. You know, like in the direction of life. So what if we, you know, like we would have took a
exactly.
Yeah, it's funny that you know, all it takes is one decision. You know, it's like the highway. You know, like there's many exits that you can take going on the highway. You can literally drive from here and just head south, and you'll end up anywhere.
Right.
There's so many different places that you can end up, and that's kind of like life, where one decision will take you to another decision, which will take you to another decision. And what I want to ask is, you know,
like you were saying, it was random.
Yeah. Like, do you think? I'm sure when you were in LA and going through that stuff, you thought maybe I should have stayed in Pittsburgh. But like now looking back at it, have you had any like realization or like time to like look back on that chapter of your life and like what would have happened if I wouldn't have gone to LA? You know, like do you think you would have had like the same, because you said it's not, you know, COVID was still going on, so you didn't really, you know, do much comedy wise. You were really just like gathering material and like doing, you know.
Yeah. We was leaving. I was like, oh, for real.
Right, I remember him telling me.
Found all that money and shit. I was like, oh, you about to leave.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's about to drive with Jessica to LA, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like I just thought it was. And
I was hitting you up when you was out there. I was like, listen, you gotta get up. And I remember, like, it was the time that you wasn't posting all that, and I was like, let me hit my dog Manny up, but he said he was going to LA to do his comedy thing, so you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, you're really just like practicing your craft, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I was just really like I was still making videos, but nothing was going viral. But I knew one of them would. You know what I mean? And
all it takes is one.
Yeah, that first Heaven video went super crazy viral. Like it was like I had 0 followers. Then like 3 hours later, I had like 7,000 followers. I was like, damn! I was like, oh shit!
That's crazy.
Like, I was freaking out. I was like. You know what I mean? It kind of sent me into like mania too. Like I was like, I was like going, like I was obsessed with it. Like I was like, yo, I gotta make another video.
Yeah.
And Jess was like, she was like, she just didn't want to talk about it. She was like, you're talking about it all the time. You're obsessed.
She should be happy for you though, like you know.
And I'm like,
but sometimes people. So, to get into what I was gonna say, was it your idea to go to LA or hers?
It was hers.
Okay. And this brings me into my next point. Some people can't be happy for someone else's success
until they got it
because they want it first.
Yeah.
We talk about all the time instant gratification. Some people want the gratification right away. They don't know how to delay it and just wait for things to happen.
Yeah.
As much as she probably deep down envied the fact that he had made a step into the right direction that he wanted to go, she was probably thinking, you know, like, where am I supposed to, like, what about me?
Right.
You know, like, it was my idea to come here. You know what I mean? And that's just selfish, self-centered thinking. Especially if you guys aren't on the right terms together.
Yeah.
That just makes it all worse. There, that envy comes in, that jealousy comes in, that, oh, why are you doing this all the time? Why are you recording all the time? You know, like, instead of just like, oh, let me help you, or like, let's bounce ideas off of each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And we was breaking up too. Like right when this happened, all this shit happened at the same time. Yeah. It was like,
but that's
crazy.
But that's also, I mean, if you look at it, it's crazy how the universe works. One thing is ending and another thing is starting.
Right. Yeah. It was literally just like that.
Yeah.
And I think she was upset too that I was cool with the relationship being done because I was like, I had this mindset. I was like, I'm just about to just straight shit on you. Like, I was like, you about to just be so mad about this. I'm like, yo, I'm about to just go crazy. I'm like,
So when after you did that first video for the I Can't Get Into Heaven, you know, how did you find that? You know, did you read that video? Were you just being consistent? You know.
Yeah, like right after I was like,
you thought that consistency was like the key to starting everything in.
Yeah, cause it was really the first time new people had seen me. So like that was all they knew was that Heaven video. So I was like, I had been watching like a bunch of YouTube videos like how to grow your page and shit. And they was like, yo, once you find something that works, stick to that same kind of theme. And then I would see like other creators, like this dude had like 300 parts of the same shit, but it was like different jokes. And so I was like, all right, I'm about to just do part 2. I did like part 2, part 3, part 4, like so fast. And then they took part 1 down because I said nigga. I was like, I was like, what the hell? So then I just blooped it out and put it back up.
We might have to bloop out COVID. It's the same COVID in here, yo. Because
I blooped it out. And put it right back up. And then, you know what I mean? I just kept going and people just kept asking for more and more and more and more. So.
Did you find it harder to come up with like
different ones?
Different parts, yeah. Because like that's the
hardest part.
Yeah, I've seen some of yours and I'm sure it's really like mentally challenging because you'll go to something for inspiration, you know, but like you want to make it your own.
Yeah, but I don't really like. That's the thing with those videos. I don't really get inspiration from a lot of things unless unless somebody die in a crazy way, that's the only time I'll really get inspiration. But a lot of it comes from just like in my head, you know what I mean? Like, or like from my dreams, like I be dreaming a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's why like when people be like, yo, I don't think God like these videos, I'd be like, nah, he's sending them to me in my dreams.
Yeah, he sent them to me in my dreams. So what you mean? Like,
I'm like, I'm seeing these in my sleep, so there's no way he doesn't fuck with these guys. He could easily be like, no, like no more inspiration or whatever. Right. So, so like a lot of it comes from like just with like in my head. So that's it's very much like original. You know what I mean? And so like that's what be pissing me off. Like when people be like people try to say like try to not give me credit when they do the same thing. I'm like, yo, everybody knows where this came from. You know what I mean? Like everybody.
Yeah, knows. I see that a lot with my own ways.
I'm like, everybody knows where this came from.
Because a lot of people, a lot of people think that, we can't fit 5 more chairs at this table.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like everybody can eat. Everyone can have a seat at the table. Everybody can be successful in their own way. And a lot of people don't know how to give credit where credit's due. And they look at that, not only taking it, but they look at like, oh, let me give him his props. Like he did his thing. Like this was his idea. They look at that as almost like being down to someone's level in a sense, or like being lower than someone instead of just like being a real person. Like we're all human.
Or they want to be the person to come up with it. Like they're like, damn, like I'm mad.
Yeah, because I see things with that brand or like my style of music, that, and we live in Pittsburgh. It's not the biggest city, so like I see some, or like I'll do something, then I see somebody copy.
Pittsburgh is the city of biters. Oh
my God. They bite everything that I do, and I like sometimes I get upset. I was like, but you know what? I know where you got that from. You don't got to give me the credit for it, but I know where you got it from.
It's also, too, because Pittsburgh...
But take it and win, because I want you to win at the same time,
Pittsburgh is also, like, an island, though, so, like, people don't really see a lot of different shit. Like, everybody does the same things here. Like, everybody
they catch on everything very late.
Yeah, everybody does the same thing. So, once you do something different, everybody sees you do that different thing. They're like,
okay, I can do that.
Like, yo, the one night I go in the flats, I had just got this turtleneck, like this black turtleneck, and I layered my chains over top of the turtleneck.
Like The Rock?
What, man? I was that bitch dripping with the sunglasses on.
I remember.
I stole the sunglasses from H&M, I remember. They was black.
We don't condone.
Stealing.
I'm in that bitch dragging. I just got my hair done. I had the fresh cut. I go in there. I'm pulling every bitch I want, right? Why the next weekend everybody got the same outfit on? Same outfit. I walk in there, I'm like,
yeah, we know where you got that from.
I'm like, it's the fucking Clone Wars in here. I'm like, y'all niggas is biting the shit out my swag. I'm like, where you get that from, bro? I'm like, yo, it's crazy.
But that, especially with social media now, I feel like it's really hard to come up with something not original, but like to keep it your own, because you have so many fake accounts. People that don't follow you, watching you. Like, there's so many people out here that are so quick to like grab on to what's hot, just so that they can say that they grabbed onto it because it was hot. And social media doesn't help that aspect at all. And we were talking about that in our our last episode.
No, what I do want to ask you is that what I do like about the comedy, and just knowing you as a person, I like the why behind the reasons that you even do comedy, and I feel like that's a big thing, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. It's like you have a why behind why you're doing comedy, and it's uplifting, other people that are going through kind of this situation.
So just so you can, make everybody aware, we're not just talking in code. What is your why? Like the reason that you do what you do, or I guess. I'm sure your reason why now is a little different than when you started, but like what was part of that reason
that hits people differently,
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of whys. I think my biggest why is, my happiness, my sanity. Cause everybody has their avenue of like how they deliver, how they vent out pain or deal with things. So that's like my way of dealing with things is comedy, and the fact that I can. Put that on display and people like it is exciting. That's exciting. And also too, like I always want to make like a good impression on people. You know what I mean? So like people liking it. You know what I mean? People laughing at it. I know that I'm contributing to the good in the world. You feel me?
Right.
Because you know what I mean. Obviously, you go through life, you guilty about shit, so like you try to like make up for it, like you know what I mean. Like that's my way of making up for like some of the shit that I did. You know what I mean? I'm like, at least I'm making people laugh. You feel me? Right. And
give
also
it back,
too,
you know?
Yeah, like, and then also too, like, you never know what somebody's going through. So like, I always like envision, like, you know what I mean, somebody watches my video and like changes their
whole their whole day, you know, like.
And so like that's one of my lives. And then also too, you know what I mean, I deal with, I'm diagnosed bipolar, so mental health and like building a platform to be able to speak on those type of issues is important to me as well, because you know I've been to what, like 3 or 4 psych wards, you know what I mean, and each experience different, you know what I mean, in its own way, but
I could just imagine, you know,
it's really trauma, you know what I mean, it's really traumatizing.
Do you feel like any of the times that you've been there, I mean, I'm sure each one had helped you in a certain way, but like you're probably not thinking it's helpful in that moment.
In the moment, I mean, I don't think I ever wanted to go.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
right.
I never wanted to go, but it was like, I didn't want to go for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I definitely needed help.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just didn't like the way it was, you know what I mean? The way it was brought upon me. You know?
Right,
like
100%. I'd be like,
I feel like one of the biggest mistakes is like having the police involved. Like, police are just the worst people to have go to somebody that's dealing with something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mentally
because
unstable.
Mental health is you have to be, I don't want to say soft, you have to be sensitive.
Yeah.
And the police,
they aggressive.
It's just aggressive, you know?
Well, you know, I'll take my background out of it. I don't think that's always the case, but majority.
Wait, were you a police officer or something?
I was raised by a state trooper.
Okay.
And it goes in my family. I have
Okay.
a couple, but I see a different side, you know, but like that's the side I see isn't the normal.
Okay.
You know, the side you see or the side we might experience, especially now in our world, is the normal.
It's not even about like the individual police officer anymore. It's like the image that they have now is just like every time I see a police officer, I'm just thinking like this nigga could easily just
and that's
violate.
because of your experience. You haven't had the best experience with them, and so because of that, you know. But I agree. I don't believe that they should be the first.
Like the first responders,
you know, for a situation.
They're just not well versed in that world.
But do you know why they're the first responders? This isn't like a statistic, but this is just a thought. Because not a lot of people know the different mental health
like
outreaches.
People to call,
Exactly. You don't. All you know is 911. Majority of people do, and then that leads to either, you know, hospital or ambulance or the police.
Right.
That's it. Like, you don't know, you know, who can I call, just like the suicide numbers or the you know, the other mental health numbers that are out there, you know, for domestic violence. Even, you know, myself, you know, you don't know those numbers.
Exactly.
But that's why they're involved so much, because everyone just knows 911. And then once the police gets involved,
you never know how they're going to handle it, you know?
It takes away from the whole reason why you needed a number in the first place. Because now the focus is police, and you have certain things that you have to abide by, and you have to, depending on where you're at and who you're with, you have to watch how you're talking, and, you know, what if you're going through one of your, you know, episodes, or, you know, what if you're having a panic attack, and, you know, they're not understanding that, so, like, a lot of factors, you know, play
like,
into that.
I feel like there just needs to be, like, a whole new system, or, like, more awareness to the fact that, you know what I mean, not everybody's normal. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's okay mentally.
Yeah, I think, you know, last year, especially with COVID, you know, you had a lot of people that I think were realizing that they're struggling. Yeah. Because when you know,
spend a lot of time by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Before COVID, everything was like rush hour traffic. You're going through the same routine. You're just trying to get to point A to point B. Then I can, you know, I'm working my job. Then I'm gonna go eat dinner. Then I'm gonna go do this. Like, it's the same thing.
Break that routine, everything.
Yeah, and then once you took that away, even us being here, like, I was still working, but like being stuck in the house was one of the worst times I've probably ever experienced. Even just being by myself at times, and, you know, living with him, like, it was just terrible. So you have to. People are probably realizing a lot, like, okay, I'm by myself, what am I doing?
Right.
You know, but also because of COVID, I think it also gave us an opportunity to reflect on some of the things that maybe we weren't dealing with before, because it's not very
I think
mental health isn't something people always want to talk about.
I think COVID made me crazy. I think that's what I blame COVID, like, because this is what happened. Cause
you blame COVID, or you blame COVID for bringing it out.
I think it brought it out because, you know, when COVID wasn't happening, I was very much outside. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Had a lot of friends. I would see a bunch of people. I didn't really care about the individual interactions that I would have with, you know what I mean, most people, because I had so much going on. You know what I mean?
But COVID also weren't focusing on what was going on.
Right. What was going on inside? Right. I was blocking a lot of my I just didn't process anything. You know what I mean? I didn't have to.
Right.
Because the next thing is already happening. You know what I mean? It's like in football, when you fuck up, you don't got time to cry, because the next play is like they about to snap the ball. So once the game stopped, everything shut down. Now I'm by myself, and then I'm just with this one person all the time. You know what I mean? Then you start to think, like, what if this one person leaves me? Now you're like, damn, then I would really be by myself? Hell no. So you do I was doing everything to just like hold on to this like idea of a person. And it was falling apart, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, as that fell apart, like, I was coming apart at the seams. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I you know, someone that I don't have I don't have a diagnosed mental health issue, but someone that deals with, you know, mental health and is very aware of, you know, myself, and trying to just, okay, if I'm, especially I feel like when you're in a toxic situation, all of what you're feeling mentally is heightened.
Right.
So you have more, quote, like, episodes. Yeah. Like, I could think back to a time when I felt stuck in the house, and I'm just like, how I was acting. You know, almost like erratic. Like, this isn't Marlena. Like, I don't need to be, you know, acting like this, or even acting like this towards someone else. You know, like, it made, so, like, now looking back at it, you're like, wow, that is when I had a problem. That is when I was going through something, but at the time was so wrapped up in keeping everything together and holding on to what I could, that I was slowly losing myself. Yeah. So I can relate to that a lot.
Yeah, and it's like,
any flashbacks.
It's like you just, I don't know. I think at some point you just realize, like, yeah, I'm nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
once
you accept it,
you're just different. You're not like everybody.
But the thing is, once you accept it, you start to, like, really see it. You know what I mean?
All of us to really, going through certain things. We just
people handle it differently.
We all handle it differently. You know?
But that's the thing. It brings out, like, the best things in you too. You know what I mean? That you didn't even I didn't even realize that.
A lot of people are just creative. You know, like a lot of people that deal with a lot of things, you know, some of the people that deal with some of the, you know, like, some of the craziest things, you know, especially mental, you know, that they're just creatives, you know, and they're really artistic, you know, and they just gotta, like, you know, you with the comedy and you with the music, you know, people sometimes with the art, you know.
Like, the same stuff that makes you laugh will make you cry. Like, it's the same. Like, if I was to tell you, like, where a lot of the jokes would come from, you would be like, damn, that's fucked up. Like, you'd be like, wow. Like, that's where that came from.
But
you know what I mean?
The flip side of that is that you were able to take the pain of what you were going through and some of the things that you had experienced, and now, you know, you were able to deal with them when you dealt with them, and now you're not dwelling on them. You're not giving excuses for yourself. You're turning that into something positive.
Right.
And, you know, being able to put that in your comedy and make people laugh.
Right, yeah.
Not a lot of people are able to do that, to take their experiences and rip on themselves or rip on the person they were with, or even just open up about that stuff. It's not, you know, social media, for the most part, we were talking about this before, is very happy and light. It's very rare unless you're talking about a death or something where you see the dark side of social media. Yeah, where they show the dark side.
The ugly, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to show their struggles and what they're going through, and you're the complete opposite. You don't show people it, you put it into a skit.
Right, yeah.
You know, so like you're channeling, that's just a form of your creativity, is you're putting it into a different avenue. So it's not dark as you experience it, it's now light that you're giving everybody else.
Right.
You know, and I think that's, it's you have to be a special kind of person to be able to do that and on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
if you gotta fake it, and a lot of
I'm sure some days it's really hard to talk about the things or like create something about what you went through, but like make someone laugh or make someone smile, especially because you're the one that was the first person affected by it.
Right.
You know, like it has a different hold and, you know, triggering, you know, to you.
Yeah. Now, I mean, before I didn't really know how to like compartmentalize certain things. So, you know what I mean? When I would make certain videos, like I would be going through it in that moment. But now, you know what I mean? I learned like sometimes comments can hurt your feelings. You know what I mean? Like sometimes what people say, like it'll hit you a certain way. So now, like if I'm going through something, like I won't talk about it until I've processed it myself. So that if somebody does say something like stupid, like I don't freak out on them and be like, yo,
it
fuck
doesn't
you.
hurt as much.
Yeah. So I you know what I mean? I plan it out now. So. But sometimes too, I gotta like re-feel it. So like sometimes I gotta meditate and like remember that moment. You know what I mean? So then I can get the comedy out of that moment. But it still helps that I've already, you know what I mean, digested it and processed it.
So my next question is, in our previous podcast, each of us said a word or phrase that we believe our 2022 is going to be. He said growth. I said taking action. Is there an adjective, word, or phrase that you see for yourself and your comedy for 2022?
Comedy, I would just say hilarious.
That's a good one,
though. No, I mean, I just think, you know what I mean, just happiness, you know what I mean? Like, that's really all I can ask for, you know what I mean? Because...
happiness, peace,
you know what I mean? Just...
Genuine relationships.
Like, just... I just want to be happy, you know what I mean? Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters because... You know what I mean? You could make all this money and still die. You know what I mean? You could do all this stuff and still, you know what I mean? We all gonna die anyway. So I just want to be happy while I'm here. And
I say that all the time. You know, that's the only thing I really care about is being happy. Yeah. You know?
Cause you know what I mean? You can be successful. You got all this money, but you can be unhappy. And then when you,
I think a lot of people that do have money like that, majority of the time are not internally happy.
Yeah. It's like they're out in the world too, you know? You never see full circle.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just a bad person, you're going to attract bad things. You know, you're a good person, you're going to attract good things. You know, what you put out into the world, you receive it tenfold, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know what I mean? The thing that just makes me happy is just making people laugh, you know what I mean? Having a good time.
Because that's changing because you're affecting a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
You're affecting a lot of people because, like I said, you're not just doing the comedy, but you're affecting a lot of people with just the message in general.
What was that, next question, what was that like when you realized that, you know, you're not just putting stuff out there for you anymore, like you're putting stuff out there for other people as well? Like, was that surreal? Like, was that a lot to take in that you have like all these people that are not only watching you, but maybe they're commenting, maybe they're getting a little personal in their lives about some of the things that they've gone through, like...
I mean, honestly, it was crazy just because, like, I don't know, like, I always knew that was gonna be the case. Like, I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, yo, like, just growing up, I just felt like people, like, I always had an audience, you know what I mean? Like, I just always felt like I was on a stage at all times. So, when people caught on, I was like, you know what I mean? I been knew y'all was coming. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I been knew this was gonna happen. Yeah. Like, I was just sitting there, like, I just started laughing because I was like, damn, like, I really knew this was gonna happen. Like, I'm like, this is really crazy.
Yeah.
But then also too, like, it was like, all right, like, you know what I mean? I was happy, but at the same time, like, it was like it was a little bit overwhelming at first because I was like, damn, like, I gotta keep making these videos or else they're not gonna be happy, you know what I mean?
Like, now you have an audience.
Yeah, so, like, you gotta, you know what I mean, keep people entertained.
Stay consistent.
And stay consistent and all this stuff. But then I just realized, I was like, you know, like, I like doing this, you know what I mean? So, like, it didn't feel like it was a job or nothing.
Okay, so to end the podcast here, is there anything that you want to leave our viewers? Any like last message you want to leave, or anything you want to say about where you see this year going for yourself?
No, I mean, I think it should be an interesting year. Got a lot coming. So, you know what I mean? I'm learning how to make music, just trying to find different ways to showcase my talent. You know what I mean? I started submitting some headshots to different agencies for, you know, modeling and acting. So, you know what I mean? It should be interesting. I'm really just along for the ride, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
God's got the plan already laid out, so I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just doing what feels right, so.
Good. I think more people should do what makes them happy instead of just doing what people expect of them, or like what society tells us to do, or, you know, even family. You know, I know family has a big influence on some people, and even myself, you know, like, so I think the more people just accept what makes them happy and they, you know, choose that path and that avenue, you know, you really can't go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So that concludes episode 12 of our Swavey Podcast. Again, my name is Marlena.
I'm Rob Jeezz. Hey, listen, guys. Today's January 13th. Manny's here from Baltimore. We have a huge show tonight, so you guys watching. Hopefully we see you guys there.
And we have a lot of Swavey things coming, so definitely stay tuned for that. We'll put his handles down here so you guys can follow him and stay up to date with everything that he has going on. Again, we'll be back with episode 13 here soon. You guys don't want to miss that, so stay Swavey.